year was 2000. After the success of Ocarina of Time, a direct sequel came out known as Majora's Mask. I remember the commercial vividly as WWF superstars Matt and Jeff Hardy were in the ring, and everything stopped as they looked to the screen, and Matt Hardy, before his broken state of course, uttered the words,
"You got 72 hours to save the world."
Those words echoed through my mind back in 2000, just realizing this is no ordinary Zelda game. This was going to be something special, especially with the giant moon peering down looking at you the entire time. With 72-hour limit to save the world, what kind of game was this going to be? I wouldn't find out until 2010. I downloaded the game from the Virtual Console and the Nintendo Wii, and as soon as I played it, I was so terrified of this game. It left me scarred for years, knowing that this game was difficult. This game was not like Ocarina of Time. This game had a time mechanic that was daunting from the beginning of the game. And you just couldn't figure out the time mechanic was the part of the game that I just could not figure out whatsoever. But there are 4 regions of Termina that you have to go visit. Region number 1 takes place in a swamp. Region number 2 takes place in a snowy area. Region number 3 is the Great Bay, which has the worst dungeon of it all, the Great Bay Temple. It is this version's water temple, but twice as hard, twice as difficult, and it's very time-consuming. It's awful. And then you have the Icona Valley, which is basically a valley of death. You know, there's a lot of dead things going on there. There's like this mummified guy there that's been cursed. And his daughter's freaking out. And then you go to a temple where there's re-deads there, you know, and then you go to Stone Tower Temple. That temple, it's a cool place actually. I like Stone Tower Temple. The climb of it sucks. But Stone Tower Temple has probably the best theme of the game, right up there with the Song of Healing. And it's just one of those great temples. It takes time to navigate, and you really need a guide. Here's the thing about Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is a guide game. You got to pick yourself up one of these to figure out what the heck you got to do in this game. 75% of this game is all about the side quest. The side quest. That's right. 75% of the game is side quests. 25% of it is your main story. And if you just do the bare minimum, it's possible to beat it. But you're missing out a good chunk of what's really going on in this world of Termina that Link stumbles into. When it comes to side quests, you meet all sorts of interesting people. A lot of them with some dark, dark stories. Some sadness, some hurt, some heartaches, pain that these people are going through in this land of Termina. I mean, it's a sad world. There's a lot of dark tones when it comes to doing some of these side quests that you encounter. And let's talk about the transformation masks for a minute, because we got to talk about these masks, because first one, you turn into a Deku scrub for your first 3 days, and then that becomes a mask. The second transformation mask is a Goron, and the third one that you get is a Zora. And basically, these transformation masks are created for people who died in this game. Yeah. And the creepier part about that is, you know, you watch one of them actually die, the Zora. The Zora you watch die before your eyes. And then you encounter the spirit of the Goron when you go to Snowhead. But as far as the Deku Scrub, you don't see that one until end credits. And you see the Deku Butler that you encountered in the swamp area, weeping over this dead, tree-like thing. It's a sad game. There's a lot of sad moments, dark tones to this game. So going back to my story, in 2010, I only got as far as the swamp, and I gave up. Then, fast forward to 4 years later in 2014, I picked it back up again, and I actually got past the swamp area, and I beat it in the swamp palace. And then I got to the Snowhead. I think it's called Snowhead. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I got to the snowy mountains where the Gorons are freezing to death up there. And I just couldn't get through it. I got inside of the dungeon, but I stopped again. I stopped playing it again until late 2015 into 16. I picked up a copy of the 3DS version, and this is the remastered version. The graphics are polished. They fixed some of the things in there. You could actually warp any time in the time period of the 3-day cycle. You could pick and choose. You can navigate things very easily in this version, and this is probably the most definitive version you could pick up. Better than the N64 version, better than the one that's on the Wii Virtual Console, which, that store no longer exists anymore. But this is a breath of fresh air right here. And when I picked this back up, I made sure I got one of these. And I began to play it again from start to finish. And I enjoyed it so much. Majora's Mask became, at the time, my #1 favorite Zelda game of all time. After the love-hate relationship I had with it for years, from 2010 to 2016, 6 years, ladies and gentlemen, 6 years, I've been trying to beat Majora's Mask. I pick it up, I put it down, I pick it up and I put it down. 6-year journey that took me to get through this game. But allow me to dive into the Hyrule Historia for a moment and read you some passages about this game. Turmoil in the parallel world of Termina. The world that ends in 3 days. Termina was in trouble. The moon was plummeting towards the earth. And in 3 days' time, the world will be destroyed. A young imp known as Skull Kid has snatched Majora's Mask from traveling mask salesmen. With the aid of the mask's terrible power, his actions had gone beyond the scope of mischief, and the effects of his pranks could be felt all over Termina. The imp's trickery didn't stop there. He also snatched Epona and the Ocarina of Time from Link, transforming the hero into a Deku Scrub. You have new allies. As they regained possession of the Ocarina of Time, Link was able to return to his original form using a mask. However, the Happy Mask salesman entreated him to recover Majora's Mask, together with Tattle. Yeah, the fairy's name is Tattle. A lot more. The fairy was a little bit of a jerk at first. I'll just say that. Together with Tattle, who was worried about Skull Kid, Link decided to put an end to the imp's excessive meddling. Termina is dominated by 4 regions in north, south, east, and west, and Clocktown's Clock Tower is at its center. The regions consist of swampland of Woodfall. Woodfall. The mountains of Snowhead, the ocean of Grey Bay, and the canyon of Icona. The kingdom of Icona is in ruins, but the other regions are governed by people who inhabited them. And there's a lot of great characters you meet in this game. There's a lot of great people that you encounter, especially when you go through with all the side quests. And how you earn heart pieces, you have to go through the side quests to earn heart pieces. You have to go through side quests to earn all the masks. And especially if you want the Fierce Deities mask at the end of the game, alright, shown here, Fierce Deities Link. Oh, it's fantastic. It is fantastic to play. It's a pain in the rear to get all the masks at times. Especially because there's some side quests that actually takes the entire 3-day cycle, and if you mess up, you start all over. Link first found himself in a place called Clocktown 3 days before the local carnival. The town was thrown into chaos when the moon began to fall. The shadow of the lunar body grew bigger with each passing day. That moon is scary. Using the Ocarina of Time, Link was able to rewind the passage of time to 3 days before the moon fell. He collected a number of mysterious masks and righted the unusual changes that had taken place in the world, reviving the legendary giants that slept in the 4 regions of land. And so at the end of it all, when you finally face Majora's Mask itself, yes, the mask comes to life at the end of this game. You have 3 incarnations that you fight. And as long as you have Fierce Deities, it's such a breeze. It is such a breeze to beat Majora's Mask. Whenever you get the fierce deity's form. Once you beat him, you enter the fourth day. The town is saved. Everybody's celebrating. And it's just a grand celebration all around. You go back into the forest, continuing to look in for your lost companion Navi from Ocarina of Time. Now here's the freakier part about this. I forgot to mention this in my last video with Twilight Princess. Link meets someone called the hero Shade, who is basically a skeleton-like figure with armor. And it is said, in Hyrule Story, I believe, that is the incarnation of the hero of time, who is this version's Link in Ocarina of Time and in Majora's Mask. And basically what is said, that if anybody is lost in the woods and dies in the woods, they turn into the skeleton figure. So theories are out there that Link from Ocarina of Time appears in Twilight Princess teaching the new Link special moves and abilities. That's cool tie-in right there. That's a very cool tie-in right there that I like, that I love about this game. Majora's Mask is a fantastic game. Once you finally understand the time mechanics, it gets easy. I highly recommend a guide for the game. Highly recommend a guide. But other than that, it's my number 2 ranked Zelda game. And I know I said it's my number 1, but currently today, it's number 2. Because Breath of the Wild took the number 1 spot when that came out in 2017. Debatable, yes. But that's just my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.